Okay. Next, we'll go to accrued expenses. Okay, as we all know, accrued expenses is an expenses that is incurred but not yet paid or recorded. Okay, so this is actually part of the liability, and since it is something that you need to settle within the period, within a very short period of time, that's why it is included in the current liabilities, right? Short-term liabilities. Okay, how do we record the accrual expenses? Okay, so we will debit the expense account and we will credit the accrued expenses. Okay, so here you can use either accrued expenses, okay, or expenses payable. For example, if you are if you are recording a salary expense, okay, so your answer will be debit salaries expense, credit accrued salaries, or salaries payable. Okay, so how do we go about to record the payments of the accrued expenses? Okay, in A, this is where you record the accrued expenses at the end of the accounting period. At this point, you haven't made any payments yet, but still you need to declare the expenses because it is at the end of the accounting period. Okay, once we make payments to the accrued expenses, so you need to revert the journal entry. So earlier you credited accrued expenses, okay, so earlier you credited the accrued expenses here. So when we are recording the payments for the accrued expenses, we will debit the one that we recorded earlier. So we will debit the accrued expenses and we will credit the means of your payments, either in cash or check. That means bank. Okay, this is how you go about to record the accrued expenses in your that is your current liabilities. Okay, we look at example 4. On 31st December 2010, at the end of the reporting period, okay, it is found that the business has not settled premise rental. Okay, so this is the expenses for the current year, for the year 2010. But since no payment has been made yet, that is why we haven't recorded any premise rental expense. But since it is the expenses for 2010, so during the adjusting entries period, we should record 1,500 as the expenses. So the payment rental, as you can see in the question, okay, it is scheduled next year. That means on the 15th in the next accounting year. So we need to record the expenses for this during the closing of the account. Okay, so on 31st of December 2010, I will debit rent expense or rental expense, but since no payment has been made yet, so I will credit accrued rent, or I can also use rent payable. Okay, so this amount will stay in the accrued payable accounts until the payment has been made. So as you can see in the question, the payment was made on 15th of January 2011. So we need to revert the entry. So earlier you credited the accrued rent. So when I made the payments for this accrued rent, that means the account is no longer exists. So I will debit the accrued rent or the rent payable, and I will credit is either cash or bank with the same amount. This is how you go about to record your accrued expenses or your payable expenses. Okay, next. We go to unearned revenue. Okay, what is unearned revenue? As you can see here, unearned revenue is a performance obligation. That means you already receive the money in advance, okay, but the services or the product has not been delivered to the customer yet. So you are in obligation, or the money that you receive is actually a liability because you haven't earned the amount. So the amount received in advance will be categorized as a liability until the product or the service has been delivered. But since you received the money at the first place, that means you need to record the receipt of the payments. Okay, so how do we record cash receipt in advance? That is related to your services or product. Okay, to record the recipients of the money, okay, you will debit cash or bank depending on how you receive the advance money. But since you haven't delivered the services, you cannot credit service revenue because you haven't earned it. So we will credit unearned service revenue. And when you already delivered, or when you already send the product or the merchandise to the customer, okay, then only you can recognize the revenue. So we will revert the journal entry made earlier. So earlier you credited unearned service revenue since you already delivered the service, so that means the unearned service revenue is no longer there. So we will debit unearned service revenue and we will credit service revenue with the same amount. Okay, we look at example 5. On 1st February 2011, the business received an order from customer and it has been fully paid with the amount of 6,000 ringgit. But the services was only delivered to the customer later, that is on the 25th of March 2011. But I received the money on 1st of February the same year. So I need to record the receipt of the money on 1st of February 2011 before I even deliver the services to the customer. So the question requires you to prepare relevant journal entries. So that means I have two different journal entries. One is to be made on the 1st of February and the second one, the transaction, you need to have two journal entries. One is on the 1st of February 2011 and the second journal is when you recognize the revenue, that is on the 25th of March. So my sets of journal will be on the 1st of February, I will debit either cash or bank. Since I haven't delivered the service, okay, the amount will be credited into unearned service revenue. And since the services has been delivered on this particular date, that is on the 25th of March, we will revert the journal entry. So we already delivered the services, then only we can recognize the amount as service revenue. and we need to close the unearned service revenue. So earlier we credited unearned service revenue, now we will debit unearned service revenue. Okay, so this is to record the amount of money you received earlier in advance, and this is to recognize the revenue delivered. Next, we go to sales tax payable. Okay, sales tax is referring to sales tax, which is normally expressed in a percentage form, and it is collected by the company from the customer. Okay, but the sales tax are not meant for the company. It is actually the amount that the company is collecting on behalf of the governing tax authority. For example, in Malaysia is Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri. Okay, this is something like SST or GST. So this amount of money in a form of percentage of your sales will be included in the sales price, but the amount need to be paid to the authority or to the government later in one particular date. So the company is only keeping the money. So here it says it's actually the custodian of this one. So you are only keeping the money for a certain period of time before remitting, okay, before paying it to the government on timely basis. Normally it's once a year or maybe twice a year. So the amount of the tax collected is actually a liability to you, because you need to pay the amount of money to the government, but the money is first paid to you, included in the sales price, but that is as sales tax. So the ledger of the accounts with the amount is called either tax payable or sales tax payable. Why is it payable? Because it's a liability. It's a liability to the company that needs to be paid to the government. Later during the accounting period. Okay, and sales tax is recorded simultaneously with the sales, because the sales tax only occurs when you make a sales in the company. Okay, so the amount of the money is included in the sales amount. Okay, so how do we record the cash receipt from the sales tax? Okay, let's say the price of your merchandise is 100 ringgit. Okay, and the sales tax is 5%. So 5% out of 100 ringgit is 5 ringgit. So this amount of money will be included together with the price of the product, of the goods. Okay, so as a customer, I will be paying 105 ringgit when I bought the item. Okay, and the money will be kept by the company into two different ledgers, two different accounts. 100 ringgit is actually meant for the sales, but that 5 ringgit is actually a liability to the company because it is actually a sales tax. But the amount that you collected from your customer once you are doing the sales is 105 ringgit. That means the sales price plus the sales tax payable. Okay, so let's say this is towards the end of the accounting period or during the time of the tax remittance. So you need to pay the money to the governing company, to the government. Sorry. Okay, so we will debit sales tax payable because earlier you credited the sales tax payable. So once you made payment to the government, it is no longer there. All right. So you will debit sales tax payable and we will credit cash. So this amount is actually a mass amount that is collected during all your sales. So it's actually around 5 to 6% of your sales price that you need to remit to the governing to the government. Okay. Okay. We look at example 6. Jimmy Auto Supplies make a cash sales on March 16, 2019. Okay, so this is the day that we made our sales. The cash collected from the sales is 16,380. So the 16,380 is inclusive of the sales tax. That means from this amount you have 100%, that is your sales, and 5% that is your tax. Okay, so balance of the tax payable on March 2019 is 3,500, and 2,000 ringgit will be remitted to the tax department at the end of the month. Okay, so we need to prepare the journal entries to record the cash receipt. Okay, and then we need to record the tax remittance. Okay, how do I record the cash receipt? The cash receipt is based on your sales amount. Okay, so you made your sales on this particular date, that is okay, so the sale that you made earlier is on March 16, 2019. So we will debit cash as usual. The amount is 16,380. As I mentioned earlier, okay, this is inclusive of tax, 5%. So your sales is actually 15,600. Okay, so how do I get the amount for that? It is actually 16,380 divided by 105, because 100% is your sales and 5% is your tax, and then you times 5. Okay, so you get your tax as 780. Okay, so how much is your sales actually? Your sales is actually 16,380 minus 780 ringgit. That is how you came about with the 15,600 amount. Okay, this is to record the payment received during sales. So what happened if I were to remit the payments to the governing tax agency? Okay, so here we need to record the payment remitted to the LHDN. Okay, so on the at the end of the month, we are making payments. Okay, we are sending the payments to the government, okay, in order to pay the sales tax. So we will debit sales tax payable and we will credit cash. Okay, and why is it 2,000? Because as you can see in the question given, okay, it is stated there, balance of tax payable on 1st of March 2019 is 3,500. That is the balance, but we are not supposed to pay everything, because we pay the sales tax payable according to the period of sales. So in the question it says you will only be sending or remitting the 2,000 ringgit to the tax department at the end of the month. So the amount from 3,500, okay, only 2,000 will be remitted to the governing agency, and the 1,500 remains in the sales tax payable account and to be remitted later. Okay, all right. So that is your current liabilities with a certain amount. Okay, that means you already know how much or how much amount that you need to remit or you need to record as a liability. Okay, you have another type of current liability but with an estimated amount. Why do we say it estimated? Because actually the amount is not accurate, because the liability is known to exist but the value cannot be determined accurately. Okay, because why? Because there is because it is based on your estimation, okay, according to prior experience with the product. Okay, so contoh dia bagi dekat sini is warranty payable. Okay, so it's actually a liability. Okay, warranty is something that it's actually a promise made by a seller to a buyer to correct deficiency of quantity, quality or performance in a product for a specific period of time. Okay, macam you beli barang, so barang tu ada guarantee. So within let's say 30 days or 60 days or 100 days or maybe 1 year, kalau barang tu rosak, you can return the product back to the seller, okay, and you will get refund or you will be replaced with a new product. Okay, tapi you need to know, every time that you make products, every time that you produce or manufactured a product and you have the amount of sales for that particular year, it comes together with your warranty. Okay, setiap produk ada warranty. So every time bila kita jual barang, kita dah estimate, let's say saya jual 1,000 unit. So from the 1,000 unit, normally, okay, because liability is something that is estimated, so it is based on your prior experience, pengalaman lepas. So selalu kalau I jual 1,000, mungkin dalam 2% barang akan rosak. Okay, so it's actually estimation. Okay, anggaran. So this 2% will be excluded from your sales, akan dikeluarkan siap-siap, sebab that amount of money from my sales I akan guna to repair or to replace the defected goods with the new ones. Okay, but not necessarily setiap kali bila you jual barang 2% akan patah balik to be replaced, sebab not necessarily setiap kali you jual barang tu akan rosak. So that is why we call it estimation, anggaran. Okay, so estimated cost of honoring product warranty contract should be recognized as an expense, okay, in a period in which the sales occur. Right, so the warranty expense will be recorded in the same reporting period where sales have been generated. So let's say your sales is for 2010, so the warranty expense or the warranty payable will be recorded on the same year itself. You cannot carry forward the amount to the next accounting period. Okay, so this is because the expense occur when the sales is made. Okay, warranty tu bergerak bersama-sama dengan sales. Bila you ada sales, baru ada warranty. Kalau tak ada sales, tak ada warranty. Okay, so the warranty claim is paid, and how do we record? Okay, first of all, before you record the warranty liability or the warranty expense, you need to record the sales on credit first. Okay, so as usual, okay, when you get a question on this particular item, you need to record sales on credit. So we will debit accounts receivable and we will credit sales as usual. Okay, and then we need to accrue the warranty expense. Okay, all right, you will debit the warranty expense, okay, let's say your sales is 1,000 ringgit, okay, and your warranty is estimated to be, the items that is sold, estimated 2% will be returned by the customer. Okay, so this is the estimation amount, 2%. Alright, okay, so the amount actually is 20 ringgit. So once you recorded the credit sales, at the same time you will be recording this 20 ringgit as your warranty expense. Okay, because you need to exclude the amount from the sales, because nanti bila barang rosak, you will take out the money from the sales that you received earlier. Okay, alright, but since we haven't received any defected goods, sebab benda ni dicatat bersama-sama, masa tu dia baru beli, so dia baru anggaran, so not necessarily barang tu akan patah balik dekat you. So benda tu tak boleh credit cash lah, sebab duit memang tak keluar lagi ya. Alright, so it is considered warranty liability. Okay, it is expenses sebab, as I told you earlier, alright, the warranty expense must be recorded together with the sales on the same accounting year. So kalau sales ni adalah untuk tahun 2020, so warranty expense ni pun akan dicatat pada tahun 2020. Okay, tapi bila nak bayar, kita belum tahu lagi, so we will credit warranty liability. Okay, alright, then we look at the example. Okay, the business has made 250,000 sales in 2010. Okay, this is the amount of sales for the year 2010. Okay, according to prior experience with the product, okay, around 2 to 4% of goods are defective. Defective tu rosak so dia akan pulangkan balik. So because we have the estimation of 2 to 4%, so kita ambil yang tengah-tengah to be safe. So the business estimated 3% of sales will be defected. Anggaran ya, tak semestinya akan betul-betul berlaku. So that 3% will be excluded from your sales amount, because the amount of money will be used to replace the defective good within the warranty period. So yang ni warranty period selalunya tak lama. It's within 30 days until 12 months, something like that. Okay, so when the customer return the goods to the supplier, to you, okay, the item is either will be repaired or will be replaced. Okay, so the amount of your sales will be reduced. Okay, so you need to prepare journal entries to record sales and warranty expense. And then here in B, okay, it mentioned here the actual warranty expense is 7,000. So from your 3% estimation, hanya 7,000 je barang yang patah balik sebab rosak atau tidak boleh digunakan. Okay, so you need to prepare journal entries. 1, if the defective goods are repaired. So if it is repaired, that means you need to change it with something else. Okay, so we have two these situations here. Okay, for repaired goods or for replaced good. Okay, okay, we look at the journal entry. Okay, for A, we will record the sales. Okay, so your sales for the year is 250,000. So sales can either be cash or in form of credit. Okay, and then we need to declare our warranty expense for the year. So warranty expense is 3% from your sales. So 3% from the sales is actually 7,500. Okay, so this is the estimated amount. Okay, but then in the question it states the actual warranty is only 7,000. So even though we already recorded 7,500 in the warranty expense, the actual amount that is paid is only 7,000 to replace the defective goods. Okay, so we look at the situation. If we were to repair the defective goods, okay, the defective products, so what I do here is I will debit warranty liability, okay, because earlier you credited warranty liability. So once you already perform the repair for the defective goods, okay, so you need to take out the amount from your warranty liability, only up to 7,000, because that is the actual warranty that is given. So since you repair, that means you need to pay for the repair, okay, so we will credit cash. So this amount is considered your expenses for the year. Dia akan mengurangkan sales anda sebab barang tu rosak and you kena ganti. So bila you repair, you perbaiki, you kena beli barang-barang atau parts ataupun upah orang untuk repair. So you need to pay them. That's why kita credit cash. But if we replace, ganti, that means you take a new item from your store, okay, so it has nothing to do with cash at this point, okay, so kita akan debit warranty liability and we will credit inventory. Why inventory? Because as I said earlier, you bukan repair, you replace. So bila replace, I ambil yang rosak, I simpan, I take a new one that is in my store and I give the new one to the customer. So I am replacing the defective goods with the good ones. So the item akan berkurang daripada inventory saya. That's why we will credit inventory. So what happened to the balance of 500? Okay, the balance of 500 stays in the warranty liability. Okay, so we'll be bringing the balance to next year. Okay, all right, so that is for your current liabilities.